anamorphic and autofocus. Who would have thought? As someone who is mainly a fashion photographer, doing things for social media, vertical crops and whatnot, but then I've always had a passion for filmmaking, an affinity for anamorphic, for the dramatic, for the cinematic. A lens came along that is the best of both worlds and perfect for someone like me. The Blazar Apex 50mm 1.33 is the first ever anamorphic autofocus lens. The reason I call this lens best of both worlds is because the center is sharp that you can use for traditional commercial social media crops, etc. But then towards the edges, you get that barrel distortion, you get that paint light bokeh, which truly meets everything in the middle, because I can give my client a vertical crop, sharp, awesome, they love it. When I make a CineScope version, it's just cinema. As someone who loves to run and gun, I'm someone who any form of equipment, rigging, that extra effort, it just slows me down. It kills my creativity. Something I'm working on, as well as the medical professionals in my area. We're all working on it. But having something like this where you can just go out, create, for example, you can take your best friend into a forest, one light, one tripod, one person besides me, and create something that if you squinted could look like it was on Netflix. No focus pulling required. You can just let the creativity go. Like that to me is the ultimate weapon from a piece of gear's point of view, because being able to just create without being, hampered down by like extra setup or, needing extra people on set, like just being able to go out and create. It reminds me of when I first started that, and I think feeling that passion and inspiration is honestly like the best thing a piece of equipment could do. Like technical stuff, all well and good, whatever, but if a piece of equipment makes you feel inspired and you just want to go out and create, that is the best. As they say in sport, the best ability is availability, and having a lens that's just available, you don't really need anything else. You can just go out and create like that. It's just magic. It's awesome. Now the autofocus isn't perfect, especially I didn't know there was a firmware update out for this. So I did that before this review, but all the clips you're seeing was pre-firmware. So I think it actually has gotten better just from testing in this review, but there were definitely some struggles. I found it would get confused, especially if two people in the scene. But one thing I noticed when I put the lens from my FX3 to my A7R5, it definitely worked better. So I think it's a case of it probably works better with like the newer cameras and the newer, AI chips and all that type of thing, which is understandable. But between the cameras getting better and the lens, firmware getting updated, it's pretty darn good. And as I said, like the best ability is availability, and being able to go out, no focus pulling, nothing, just anamorphic footage that's in focus and you can just create with is just awesome. Like that's, the camera market has stalled a bit as far as advancements and stuff. So something really cool like this coming along is awesome. Like shooting full frame and cropping in, you can sort of you can almost pick how much character you want by how much you crop in. Like if you really want that distortion on the edge, a bit of vignetting, you don't crop in as much. So, or if you just really want it clean, you just crop in and then just do some distortion fixes in Resolve.
You can't have anamorphic without flare, and I love how controlled these are. They're not over the top, they're not super saturated, but they just look right. Even the secondary flare or the tiny bit of rainbow you might get at the right angle, I really like it, and I like that it takes on the color from the source of the light.
All right, there. Yeah, close focus is pretty solid. And if you want it closer, you just chuck on some cheap diopters from Amazon and away you go. All this taken into account, the craziest thing is how cheap it is. Like, I got it for like $6.99 or $7.99 US. So not only the ease of use, but ease of access as far as price, it is just awesome for people who just want to create, whether they're using it for paid jobs or they just want to create for YouTube, whatever. Like a lens like this and the technology that's coming from this and will come, is just going to unlock so many new creators from the new generation, people getting back into it, whatever. And that's awesome. It's awesome for the community. It's awesome just for like other filmmakers to get inspired from other filmmakers. Like the more creations out there, the better, and the more anamorphic it's out there, the better. This is basically my YouTube debut. I hope one day I can look back at this with gratitude, laughter, probably a bit of cringe, but yeah, it's going to be crazy to see where this journey goes, and thank you for coming along with me. Using this lens definitely gives me great joy.